Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show where we take a whole stack of information articles, research, all sorts of stuff, and really try to pull out the most important insights for you.
Yeah, get right to the core of it.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into something that's, well, it's everywhere. It's totally woven into our digital lives. But it's also kind of hard to define. Memes.
Oh, yeah.
Memes. You know that feeling, right? Someone shows you an image, a quick video, and you just get it. You think, oh, yeah, I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
But actually saying what it is, that's tricky.
It really is. They're these quick laughs, sometimes huge viral things, just ubiquitous. They pop up in family chats, news headlines, everywhere.
But what we're doing today is going way beyond just the humor, isn't it? Our mission here is to unpack the surprisingly deep history, the cultural weight they carry, their psychological impact.
And even how scientists are trying to get a handle on them. These seemingly simple bits of digital stuff, images, videos, phrases, they've become these incredibly powerful tools.
Right, for communication, for social commentary, which can be really sharp sometimes, and even for, coping with really complex stuff, complex emotions.
Yeah, definitely. And to do this, we've gathered a pretty wide range of sources. We've got academic papers, student newspaper articles, which can be surprisingly insightful.
Oh, yeah, some really good stuff there.
Online forums where you see them kind of evolving in real time, and more. We're aiming for a really full picture of what memes actually are and, why they matter so much now.
Okay, let's do it. Let's dive in.
Let's get started.
So maybe the first biggest question is the hardest one. What is a meme? We kind of touched on it, that I know it when I see it problem. It's just genuinely difficult to pin down, isn't it? Even though we all recognize them.
It absolutely is. And the core problem, I think, is just how fluid they are, how adaptable. One source we looked at put it really well. Memes take on many different forms and purposes as they are modified and shared over the internet. They're not static at all. They're constantly changing.
Constantly evolving. Think about that picture of young Cardi B making that face.
Oh, yeah, the side eye.
Right. And it gets captioned with all sorts of childhood complaints. Or, I have a basketball game tomorrow, Trey. That video.
Hilarious. Such a bad excuse.
Totally unconvincing. Or Dark Kermit, representing your inner mischief.
Your darker thoughts.
And all those can be a photo, a video clip, sometimes even just audio. And then people just slap on new captions for jokes, opinions, critiques. It's that adaptability that makes them so hard to box in.
And that's their unique vitality, as one source called it. That's the secret sauce, really.
Yeah.
They go viral just by changing a caption, or the medium shifts, or they get revived because something's happening in the news right now. It's this chameleon-like thing adapting to whatever the user wants.
And that's precisely why they're so embedded in how we talk online, even if we can't quite write a dictionary definition for them.
And what's really wild is that the idea of a meme, the actual term, isn't new at all. It goes way back.
Right. This is the fascinating bit. 1976.
Yeah, 1976. Richard Dawkins, the evolutionary biologist, he coined it in his book, The Selfish Gene.
Which is not about the internet at all.
Not even close. He used meme back then to describe a unit of human cultural transmission analogous to the gene. That was his big idea.
Okay, so unpack that. Analogous to the gene. How?
Well, his core insight, which is pretty profound when you think about it, wasn't just coining a word. He was suggesting that ideas themselves evolve, sort of like genes do.
Wow.
His idea was rooted in Darwin. He thought cultural evolution, just like biological evolution, works because information gets copied, it varies a little, and then certain versions get selected or favored.
So the meme, in his original concept, was the cultural equivalent of the gene, the thing that gets replicated.
Exactly, the replicator of culture. He talked about them having causal efficacy, basically. How sticky or impactful an idea was determined how likely it was to be copied and spread. Just like a strong gene helps an organism survive and reproduce.
So what were his examples back then, before keyboards and screens?
Well, this shows how broad his original idea was. He talked about things like musical tunes, melodies that get stuck in your head and spread.
Catchy tunes, yeah.
Catchphrases, fashion trends, even technologies like how to build better arches or something.
Yeah.
These were all memes. In his view, these chunks of cultural information spreading and changing over time.
Which is, a world away from Doge or distracted boyfriend.
Totally different vibe.
So how did we get from that really broad academic concept to internet memes? What was the bridge?
It was a gradual thing, but a really powerful transformation. Dawkins' original concept, this unit of cultural transmission, it basically morphed into what is now classified as an internet meme.
Right.
So today, when we talk about internet memes, we usually mean something much more specific. They're generally based on humor and mimicry, often involving activities, concepts, catchphrases, or bits of media that spread online, person to person.
And they come in all shapes and sizes.
All sorts. Images with text, short videos, whole websites sometimes, hashtags that catch on, or just a word or phrase that suddenly takes on this new shared meaning online. Their power is often in that concise, funny communication of something complex.
It's just incredible, that journey from a biological analogy to, these things filling up our social feeds every single day.
It really is.
Which kind of leads us perfectly into how they actually took over digital culture.
Yeah.
What were the early days like? The proto-memes before everything was so visual.
Right, before the image explosion. Well, the early internet had its own sort of ancestors to modern memes. They are often text-based, simpler. Remember, all your base or belong to us.
Oh my God, yes. From that terrible video game translation.
Exactly. It became this huge inside joke for early internet folks. Or the dancing baby gif.
The creepy CGI baby. It was everywhere.
It really was just this simple kind of pixelated animation, but it spread like crazy, mostly through things like email chains, maybe rudimentary websites, online forums. It was slow compared to now, but it laid the groundwork.
It felt cutting edge back then, though, like you were in on something.
Totally. It built that culture of sharing weird, funny, digital things.
Then things started getting more visual. Around 2007, maybe? The Cheeseburger Network, I can has Cheeseburger. That felt like a big moment.
Huge moment. That's where we really see the proto-image macros taking off. These were the early versions of pictures with funny text overlaid, usually animals, cats mostly.
Lolcats.
Lolcats, exactly. You had things like ceiling cat, remember that? The cat peering down through a hole in the ceiling.
Looking down on you, judging.
Totally. Or invisible bike, where someone's posing like they're riding a bike that isn't there. Monorail cat stretching between two things.
Yeah.
And what was cool was how quickly people started subverting them. Like basement cat popped up as the evil opposite of ceiling cat.
The dark side.
Right. It showed people weren't just copying, they were playing with the format, using contrasts for humor. That variation was already happening.
So that really set the stage for the explosion of image macros proper. When the visuals really became dominant, it felt like everyone could suddenly make one.
Yeah, exactly. Internet access got faster, more widespread, sharing images got easier with new platforms popping up. And these image macros, the static picture with the big, bold text, often that white impact font with the black outline.
Classic meme font.
That became the format for a while. That's when we got icons like Grumpy Cat. Her face just captured universal annoyance.
Instantly relatable.
Or Success Kid, the toddler with the fist pump for those small everyday wins. And of course, Bad Luck Brian.
Oh, Brian. Poor guy.
That awkward school photo became the symbol for just endless relatable misfortune. Their power was, as one source said, being able to convey complex emotions and situations succinctly and humorously. Just an image and a few words. Bam.
That succinctness, that instant relatability, that must be why they just went nuclear when social media really took hold.
Oh, absolutely. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they didn't just let you share. They were like rocket fuel. They enabled rapid sharing and amplification of memes on a scale we'd never seen. Virality hit a whole new level.
Yeah.
And that's when memes truly became part of the mainstream digital fabric. You couldn't escape them. And they got more sophisticated too, right? Pulling in pop culture, getting political.
Definitely. They started referencing movies, TV shows, current events, political figures. It wasn't just cats anymore.
Right. They became essentially a common language for internet users, transcending geographical and cultural boundaries. Our sources point out how major news outlets were actually reporting on meme trends, analyzing them. And you definitely saw it like among friends at university, people using memes as conversational shorthand.
Totally. They were fully integrated.
Deeply integrated.
Which brings us to this really surprising connection, the idea that memes are like modern folklore. Which sounds kind of weird at first, right? Digital versus ancient stories.
It does sound like a stretch, but when you dig into it, the parallels are actually really strong. The core idea, the sort of aha moment, is that memes, despite being digital, are basically doing the same job as old campfire stories.
How so? What's the connection?
Well, they fill the same basic human needs: Sharing understanding, coping with stuff together, passing on cultural ideas. It's like a timeless thing in a totally new outfit. Think about folklore. It's usually traditional, right? Hard to pin down who started it.
Yeah, anonymous origins.
It has recognizable patterns, motifs like recurring characters or plot points, and crucially, it changes. It's variable. Each retelling is slightly different.
Okay, I see where you're going. Memes fit that.
They really do. They follow formats, patterns, a visual template, a sound clip, a phrase structure. But within that structure, there's huge creativity and variation. People adapt them constantly to new jokes, new situations.
And the way they spread. Folklore was word of mouth. The internet just changed the medium.
Fundamentally reshaped it. Yeah, it
Right.
blew up the idea of just oral transmission. Now we have digital jokes, digital stories, and like jokes, memes rely on shared context, familiar bits, but also that spark of creativity in how you use or change them.
Right. You're not just copying, you're participating.
Yeah.
Adding your own spin.
Exactly. Selecting it for your audience, maybe tweaking the caption. It's like how a storyteller would adjust a tale for who they're talking to.
Let's make this concrete. The Drake meme is a perfect example of a super recognizable format.
Oh, absolutely iconic. 2 panels, Drake looking disgusted in the top one, approving in the bottom one.
Hotline bling video, right?
That's the one. Top panel means no, bad. Bottom panel means yes, good. So, simple example. Top text, doing homework. Bottom text, sleeping all day.
Instant visual shorthand for preference.
Exactly. It's a template. Everyone gets it immediately. Endlessly adaptable, just like, say, a traditional proverb format.
And you see similar ideas, but with slightly different flavors in other big memes, like the Winnie the Pooh one or Galaxy Brain.
Totally. The Winnie the Pooh meme does that normal versus fancy thing. You've got regular Pooh, then tuxedo Pooh looking all sophisticated.
All right, used to mock pretentiousness or show an upgrade.
Yeah. And Galaxy Brain takes that idea of escalating enlightenment even further. It's usually got panels showing a brain getting progressively more lit up, often ending with cosmic energy.
Like the example of milk first, then cereal first.
Then the bowl first,
You're
right. Each step gets a more Galaxy Brain image. It implies this journey to some kind of ultimate, often absurd understanding. It's very meta about perceived wisdom.
What's interesting, too, is how, just like old jokes or stories, some memes need you to be in the know. You need prior knowledge, right? They feel like inside jokes sometimes.
That's a really key point, and it lines up perfectly with folklore. Think about memes on a specific subreddit, like, say, our Minecraft memes.
Okay.
If you don't play Minecraft, if you don't know the items, the characters, the common frustrations players have, you're probably not going to get the joke.
Right. It'll just go over your head.
Exactly. They rely heavily on that shared community knowledge. Just like a traditional joke might rely on knowing local history or a specific cultural reference. It builds that in-group feeling for those who do get it.
So beyond the structure, memes also seem to do some of the same things folklore did, like acting as a release valve, letting off steam about society.
Absolutely. That's a huge function. Folklore often served as a way to deal with tensions, anxieties, even traumas. Memes do that too, in a digital way. Think about the flex tape Titanic meme.
With the guy sawing the boat in half, Phil Swift.
Right, that's a lot of damage. And the meme shows him about to slap flex tape on the sinking Titanic. It's dark humor, obviously. Totally absurd.
But it lets you laugh at catastrophe.
Exactly. It's a way to cope with feeling helpless. Find a bit of humor in the impossible. It externalizes that stress.
And they can also reinforce worldviews, right? Like make a group feel more certain about what they believe.
They definitely can, sometimes quite subtly. They can justify, perpetuate the worldviews of the people who view those memes. One example our sources mention is a Book of Mormon meme.
Okay.
For members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it apparently combines something from the Book of Mormon with, like, a Star Wars quote. It creates this shared, funny moment that also reinforces their religious identity and beliefs within that community.
Huh. So it strengthens the group's shared understanding through humor.
Yeah. And like urban legends having local versions, what folklorists call oikotypes, memes do that too. They adapt locally.
Oikotypes, like regional variations.
Pretty much. The Tagalog meme about homework is a great example. It uses a specific pun about homework committing suicide that really hits home in Tagalog culture and language.
So it's funnier or more meaningful if you share that specific cultural context.
Exactly. Especially for students dealing with homework stress. It's like a localized inside joke that might not translate perfectly elsewhere.
And then memes start creating their own language, their own styles, and even referencing other memes. It gets very self-referential.
Oh, yeah, totally. We've definitely seen meme language emerge. that specific alternating capitalization style.
Like this ka from the SpongeBob meme.
Exactly, the mocking SpongeBob meme. Now, that alternating cap style is used all over the internet, often without SpongeBob anywhere in sight, just to signal mockery or sarcasm. It's an instant visual cue for tone.
And actual phrases jump out too. Oh, boomer is probably the biggest one.
Perfect example. It started as this sarcastic comeback from younger people to dismiss views they saw as outdated or condescending from older generations.
Kind of like rolling your eyes digitally.
Pretty much. It became this massive shorthand for that generational friction, expressing frustration, widely adopted.
And then you get meta memes. Memes about memes. It's like Inception.
Exactly. Just like meta-folklore is folklore about folklore. Meta-memes rely on you already knowing the original meme. The meta-galaxy brain meme is a great example.
How does that work?
It uses the galaxy brain format, but it deliberately leaves panels out or removes the text and images from the later, more enlightened stages.
So the joke is that if you really know the meme, you don't need to see the whole thing.
Precisely. It implies you've reached peak meme understanding. You can fill in the blanks. It's an inside joke for the truly meme literate.
Okay, so this whole conversation just hammers home that memes are way more than jokes. They're these really potent forms of expression and commentary.
They absolutely are. One source called them a sub-form of expression for generations in tune with the internet, and the underlying need for a new cryptic outlet of social commentary and critique.
Cryptic outlet. I like that. It's often coded.
Yeah, it lets people share their thoughts about personal, national, and international situations in a way that feels natural and maybe bypasses traditional media channels. Direct collective expression.
And sometimes that expression gets really serious, really political.
Definitely. Today's memes often have a strong political and social meaning, beyond humor and mimicry, which is why, as the source says, they shouldn't be taken lightly or at face value. They're a huge part of political talk now.
Like during elections.
Oh, yeah. The 2020 U.S. election was full of memes about Biden, about Trump. They weren't just jokes. People used them to critique policies, mock the other side, rally their own supporters. They genuinely shape opinion and drive discussion.
So they're not passive. They're active tools in shaping how people think.
Mm.
And used in activism, too.
Hugely important for activism. Movements like Black Lives Matter, #MeToo, they've used memes really effectively. Memes can boil down complex social issues into this digestible content.
Makes it easy to share and understand quickly.
Right. Raises awareness, mobilizes support. A powerful image with sharp text can convey a whole argument fast. This whole rapid circulation for causes has even been called meme wars.
Meme wars, like propaganda battles.
Yeah, basically. Reflecting how they're used for both propaganda and resistance in social media, it's a battleground for ideas now.
And beyond direct politics, they critique broader culture, too, right? Hold up that mirror.
They do it really well, often by picking up on common frustrations or observations. The Karen meme is a prime example.
Right, the entitled woman demanding the manager.
It became this instant shorthand for discussions about privilege, entitlement, certain public behaviors. It's a humorous but pointed way to name and collectively process a social phenomenon.
Which leads to another really important function. How they help us talk about difficult things like mental health. That seems like a big shift.
It's huge and really positive, I think. Memes about anxiety, depression, burnout, they've done a lot to destigmatize these things.
By making them relatable.
Exactly. Using humor, shared experiences, it creates this feeling of, oh, I'm not the only one. It encourages more open talk. The Scooby-Doo depression meme where they unmask the monster and its depression, it makes it feel less scary, more approachable maybe. Less isolating.
Normalizes it a bit.
Yeah. And for more everyday conflicts, you've got the classic woman yelling at a cat meme.
Ah, yes, the ultimate argument visual.
It's perfect. The woman yelling, the confused cat at the table, it just captures that feeling of absurd, mismatched conflict so well. One side emotional, the other bewildered. Everyone recognizes that dynamic.
So relatable. And beyond specific issues, there's this idea of memes helping us cope with, well, bigger stuff. Existential dread, just the stress of being alive now.
This is a really fascinating psychological angle. Memes offer a way to talk about these huge existential issues in terms that resonate with broader internet culture.
Makes them less terrifying.
Maybe. It provides a sort of non-threatening, often funny way to touch on fears about life, death, meaning, climate change, whatever it is. There was actually a study Mirek and colleagues in 2022,
Oh, yeah. What did they find?
they looked specifically at memes related to stressful events like the pandemic, and they found that these memes generated humor and positive feelings much more effectively than non-meme content about the same topics.
Wow.
And that, in turn, significantly boosted people's ability to cope. It wasn't just distraction, it actually helped.
So laughing at the void actually helps you deal with the void.
It seems so. The research suggests memes can facilitate emotional resilience via the helps of humored content and relatability. And it's not just personal stuff. It helps people master their complex emotions in a playful fashion about societal problems, too. It creates this digital space for processing tough realities together.
Which brings us neatly to the academic side, trying to understand all this. Memetics, the formal study of these cultural replicators.
Yep, memetics, that's the field. It goes back to Dawkins' core idea. A meme as a replicator, a pattern that can influence its surroundings and can propagate, like a cultural gene.
And Dawkins himself stayed involved, applying it beyond biology.
Oh, yeah. He famously used memetics to try and explain things like religious belief, the structures of organized religions. He even called religions viruses of the mind at one point.
Controversial.
Very. He argued religious ideas, rituals, symbols are just really successful memes that spread well because they tap into our psychology and social needs.
And others built on his work. Susan Blackmore.
Yes, Susan Blackmore wrote The Meme Machine. Her big argument was that once humans started imitating, we basically unleashed this second replicator, the meme. We then co-evolved with memes becoming meme machines, creatures really good at copying, varying, and selecting cultural information.
So memes shaped us as much as we shaped them.
That was her idea. She defined a meme very broadly as whatever is copied from one person to another person, whether it's habits, skills, songs, stories, anything.
And Daniel Dennett took it even further, into consciousness itself.
He really did. Dennett argued quite radically that human consciousness is itself a huge complex of games. Our thoughts, our sense of self, our language, he saw these as being built from memes, these cultural units constantly competing and cooperating in our brains.
Okay, that's a huge claim. Consciousness is just memes.
Pretty much his argument. Not a single unified thing, but this dynamic ecosystem of memes.
Now, this all sounds quite grand, but memetics faced a lot of pushback in academia, didn't it? Wasn't universally accepted.
Not at all. There was a significant criticism. Some argued memes do not exist in the same concrete way genes do, or that the whole gene analogy was just too simplistic, misleading even.
Like Stephen Jay Gould calling it a meaningless metaphor.
Exactly. That was a famous critique. People pointed out that culture isn't usually copied perfectly like DNA. It's reproduced, reinterpreted, changed in the process.
Implying more human choice and creativity involved.
Right. Critics felt memetics ignored human agency, focusing too much on memes as these selfish replicators, and not enough on people actively choosing, resisting, or modifying culture.
And there was the triviality argument, that it didn't really add much new understanding.
Yeah, that was a big one. Some felt it was heuristically trivial, basically. It just put fancy labels on things we already knew about cultural transmission without providing new insights or predictive power, like redescribing known phenomena. Others worried about the lack of memetic mechanisms, a clear, testable model of how memes actually replicate and evolve in brains or society. That led some to call it pseudoscientific.
So, facing all that criticism, how did the field adapt? How did we get to internet memetics?
It had to evolve, really. A new framework of internet memetics emerged. It still borrowed from people like Blackmore, but it became much more practical. A data-driven approach, focusing on digital artifacts. Less abstract philosophy, more looking at actual memes online.
And Limor Schiffman was key here, with the idea of stance.
Crucial contribution. She basically cut through this debate about whether memes were purely mental, internalist, or purely behavioral, externalist. She introduced stance, how creators and sharers position themselves regarding the meme's content, its form, and who they're sharing it with.
So focusing on the observable actions and intentions around the meme.
Exactly. Her definition really clicked for studying internet memes. They share common characteristics of content, form, and door stance. They're created with awareness of each other, and they're circulated, imitated, and/or transformed via the internet by many users.
That sounds much more workable, much more testable.
Totally. It allowed researchers to use standard social science methods, focusing on visual culture, communication patterns. It brought the study of memes down to earth, making it more empirical and focused on the digital phenomena we actually see.
Okay, so shifting from theory to the real world. Memes obviously have a huge impact. Marketing is a big one, right? Brands trying to get in on the meme game.
Oh, massively. Brands clocked the power of memes pretty quickly, especially for reaching younger people who live online. Companies like Wendy's on Twitter, known for being sassy.
The Twitter feed is legendary.
Right. Or Netflix making memes about their own shows that feel super relatable. They use that humor and relatability to connect in a way that doesn't feel like old school advertising. It feels more like joining a conversation.
More authentic, less intrusive.
Yeah, makes the brand feel like part of the culture, not just selling something to it.
And this idea of applied memetics goes beyond ads, right? Influencing opinions, tackling social issues.
Definitely. There are historical examples, even before the internet term, of using memes in the broader sense deliberately designed information units. The PR campaign building up to the first Gulf War in the U.S. back in '91 is cited as an example.
How so?
Well, it involved crafting specific narratives and images designed to shape public opinion about the conflict, to generate support. It showed how strategically designed information memes could be deployed to sway national perception. It's about deliberately engineering how ideas spread.
And now people are trying to apply these ideas to really complex problems, like sustainability or political gridlock. That's ambitious.
It really is innovative. There's work by Jack Herich, for instance. He has models like the dueling loops of the political power place. He argues political corruption isn't just bad people, it's about how one feedback loop power reinforcing itself structurally wins out over others.
So using memetics to understand the system dynamics.
Exactly. And he also has a model about the memetic evolution of solutions to difficult problems, looking at how good ideas for complex challenges spread, get refined, and how we might speed that process up.
So it's not just diagnosing the problem, but potentially finding ways for solutions to evolve and catch on.
That's the goal. Understand the how of cultural change to nudge it in a positive direction. But there are pitfalls. The Climate Meme Project back in 2013 found something really interesting.
What was that?
They found that just pushing the global warming meme wasn't actually that effective because it just caused emotional duress. Fear and helplessness shut people down rather than motivating them.
So the way the message is framed is crucial, even if it's technically a meme.
Absolutely. The study highlighted these 5 key tensions in climate talk, like harmony versus disharmony, survival versus extinction, cooperation versus conflict, etc. They argued that effective communication, meme or otherwise, needs to navigate these tensions carefully. Just scaring people doesn't work.
That makes sense. So beyond those big social issues, where else are memetic ideas popping up? It seems really versatile.
Surprisingly versatile. In archaeology, Ben Cullen's cultural virus theory uses memetic ideas to look at how material culture, like pottery styles or tool designs, spreads and changes over time.
Like artifacts evolving.
Kind of, yeah. In linguistics, Nicholas Ritt applied memetic concepts to explain how sounds changed in early English over the long term, treating specific phonetic shifts like successful memes spreading through speech.
And even project management. That feels like the biggest leap. How does that work?
It sounds odd, but S.J. Whitty proposed viewing project management itself as a memeplex.
A memeplex.
Yeah, a collection of linked memes ideas like deliver on time, stay in budget, specific methods like agile. Whitty argued project management isn't just rational. It's this self-serving system driven by these ingrained ideas, these memes that keep replicating. It's a different way to think about why organizations do things the way they do.
Huh. That's a perspective.
And in political science, Michael Sandberg studied IT innovation in Sweden. He distinguished between top-down Lamarckian strategies and more organic Darwinian coevolution, where ideas spread and adapt like memes. He found the coevolution approach was way more successful for fostering IT creativity.
Okay, this has been incredibly wide-ranging. To help kind of crystallize things, let's quickly run through some key terms for memetics. Get the lexicon down.
Good idea. Helps to have the vocabulary. Okay, first up, memeplex.
Memeplex. It sounds complex.
It is. It's a group of memes that work together, support each other. Think of a religion, a political ideology, maybe even a big scientific theory. It's a whole package of interconnected ideas that reinforce each other, stronger together.
Got it. Like a constellation of memes. What about meme pool?
Meme pool is simpler. Just like a gene pool in biology, it's the total population of memes floating around in a particular culture or subculture at a given time. All the ideas available to mix and evolve.
Okay. And memetic engineering. Sounds a bit sci-fi.
It does, but it's quite real. Memetic engineering is just deliberately creating and spreading memes to achieve something specific. Those PR campaigns, brand marketing, using memes, that's conscious memetic engineering, designing ideas to spread.
Right. Then memotype.
Memotype is the underlying information content of the meme, the actual blueprint or instruction that gets copied, as opposed to how it looks or sounds when you encounter it. The core idea.
This next one sounds pretty dark. Memeoid.
Yeah, it's a stark term. A memeoid is a word coined for someone who's become so completely consumed by a meme or a memeplex that their own survival doesn't matter as much as spreading that meme. Examples often cited are extreme cases like kamikazes, suicide bombers, maybe cult members and mass suicides, people driven entirely by belief system, the memeplex.
Wow. That's intense. Okay. Memetic equilibrium. Sounds calmer.
Much calmer. Memetic equilibrium is like the cultural sweet spot. It's when an idea, an artifact, a meme just feels right to people in a culture. It resonates, aligns with their values, feels stable and valuable. Think of finding that perfect song or piece of art that just clicks, that gives memes staying power.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, memicide.
Ah.
It sounds pretty final.
It is. Memicide is deliberately trying to wipe out a meme or a whole memeplex. Historically, horrifyingly, this could mean killing the people who carry the ideas. More often today, it means things like censorship, suppression, or flooding the zone with counter-narratives to destroy its influence, actively trying to kill an idea.
Whew. Okay. From funny cat pictures to, well, memicide. Memes cover a staggering amount of ground.
They really do, from the totally trivial to the absolutely fundamental aspects of culture and belief.
So let's try and wrap this deep dive up. What's the big takeaway? Memes are clearly way more than just jokes online.
Absolutely. They're these complex cultural things with really deep historical roots connected to how culture itself spreads. They're powerful tools for commentary, for generations to critique their world.
And crucially, they're coping mechanisms, helping us deal with difficult emotions, big, scary, existential stuff, both personally and together.
Yeah, and they're also the subject of serious academic study, memetics, trying to figure out how it all works. At the end of the day, they reflect us, our shared experiences, our values, what we hope for, what we're scared of.
They're this dynamic, evolving mirror to our collective selves.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So what does this mean for you, listening right now? As you're scrolling through your phone later, seeing these images, these short videos, these repeated phrases, maybe pause for a second. Consider that each meme isn't just a throwaway laugh.
It's a tiny piece of evolving human culture.
Yeah. It's mirroring our fears, our hopes, our everyday frustrations, our collective consciousness right back at us. So think about it. What stories are these memes telling? What shared understanding are they building? And looking ahead, what are they going to tell future historians about us, about our time?
It's definitely something worth thinking about next time you hit share.